Okay, so we're into the last lesson of interest and depreciation, and you'll recall when we did earning and managing money, we looked at all different ways for people to earn money: wages, salaries, commission, royalties, all those sorts of things. Well, obviously, business and investors are just concerned in terms of profit and loss. So basically, if I make or acquire an item, can I sell it for more than it cost me to either make or acquire that item? If I can, I make a profit. If I can't, I make a loss. So the two basic terms we've got to deal with here are absolute profit and absolute loss, and percentage profit and percentage loss. With loss, it's kind of easier to think of loss in terms of a negative profit. And that way we can sort of use the same formula to work out absolute profit and absolute loss. And we just understand that when the result is negative, we have a loss. So here we have, to work out the absolute profit, we're just talking about it in terms of dollars. So we just take the cost price away from the sale price, and that'll work out our profit. If it's negative, it's a loss. To work out percentage profit, or percentage loss for that matter, we just put the profit or the loss over the cost price. Always the cost price, never the price it was sold for. Most of the time with percentages, we're interested in movement away from what it was in the first place. So what it was in the first place was its cost price. So just moving on from there, we'll go through some examples. So EB Games buys a second-hand PS4 off Michael for $150 and sells it to Brooke for $225. So work out the absolute profit made by EB Games. So in this case, the absolute profit is just going to be that sale price of $225, take away how much it cost EB Games to acquire it, being $150. They don't care how much Michael paid for the PS4, they only care what they had to pay and then what they sold it for. Now you can use a calculator for that, but you might be able to see that that's $75. Okay, so to work out the percentage profit, we just take we take that profit and we divide it by the cost price. So the percentage profit is just going to be that $75 of profit divided by the cost price, which in this case is $150, times by 100. And you can use your calculator for that one. Maybe you don't need to. It's a reasonably obvious example. But if you need the calculator, better to use it than to sit there trying to work it out in your head. The calculator does not take too long. So 75 over 150 gives us 50%. Okay, so we can move on to the next example. So Chloe needs to make 15% profit on the sale of her pet rocks. So in this one, we don't know how much we're selling it for. What we're actually trying to work out is what she should be selling it for. If each pet rock costs her $2.65 to produce, what is the minimum amount she should set as the sale price? So if we find out what 15% of $2.65 is, we'll be able to add that on. So we can work out what the profit needed is. And that's going to be $2.65 times by 15%. And once again, we can use our calculator for that. So $2.65 times by, and we're looking for 15%. Shift percent. Whoop. Try that again, shall we? 2.65 times by 15. Shift percent. And we'll press equals this time. That'll work a lot better. 0.3975. Now, at this stage, I'm probably not going to round the answer. Instead, what I'll do is I'll round the answer at the end. So we need to work out what her sale price is. So that's going to be the $2.65 that she has to pay to cover her costs, plus the 0.3975 that she needs to make profit on each pet rock. So what we can do is we can pull up our calculator. We've still got that answer in our calculator, so we can just hit plus and it'll go answer. So we add that $2.65 to it and we get $3.05. Oh, well, actually 3.0475. I should do things the right way, which is going to be $3.05 in actuality, because you can't charge less than that. Obviously, the other thing too with this one is, strange enough, we should round up in this particular question, because when we cut the number after the 4 cents, 0.75 or 0.7, the 7 afterwards, sorry, makes us round up. But having said that, though, even if it was $3.04, and then the next number was a 1, so 3.0415, we'd still probably round up because she needs to make a minimum of that amount of profit. So you can't sort of round down in a case of a minimum, but I'll talk a bit more about that. We get a few more examples of that throughout the course. Okay, so Jackson and Heidi are planning a fundraising dance. They're going to hire a hall for $400 and get a band for $300, and they're going to cost it's going to cost them $12 per person for refreshments, and the ticket price for entry is $20. So we want to know how much profit will be made if 150 people attend. So the very first thing we want to do is, well, what's our total sales? How much do we actually get for all of these people turning up? So that's going to be $20 per person times by the 150 people that show up. So once again, you can use your calculator for that. 20 times by 150 gives us $3,000. And then we can work out our total cost. Now the cost here, some of them are fixed costs, like for instance the hire of the hall. So we've got to pay $400 to hire the hall. That's a very terrible plus sign. We've also got to pay $300 for the band. Now those costs are not determined by how many people are there, but the refreshments are. The refreshments are going to cost us $12 for each person, so 12 times by 150. And once again, we can just put that in a calculator, 400 plus 300 plus 12 times by 150. And that gets us $2,500. So our total profit is going to be that $3,000 minus the $2,500 that it costs us to run the event. And you may not need the calculator there to work out that that's going to be a $500 profit. Okay. And then finally, we've got a bit of a gross example. Lyndon purchased his hot tub for $23,000, thinking he'd have his friends over for great hot tub parties. Unfortunately, he forgot he lived in casino. So very rarely do you want to sit in a hot tub in casino, and he didn't look after his chlorine levels well enough. And so he ended up getting tinea off all his mates. So he decided to sell the hot tub, which eventually sold for $20,000. So work out the absolute loss Lyndon made on the hot tub. So what we're going to do is basically do that the same way we'd work out an absolute profit. So to work out an absolute profit or an absolute loss, we're just going to take the sale price minus the cost price. In this case, he sold it for $20,000, but it cost him $23,000. And this often happens with second-hand items. Usually people don't want to pay more than what you bought them for. So obviously we have a situation here where we've got a negative profit of $3,000, so we can say that's the same as a loss of $3,000. My computer doesn't like recording and doing pen at the same time, so it's a bit weird. Okay, so then we want to work out the percentage loss. Now, when we talk about a percentage loss, we still keep that as a positive figure because we're saying it's a percentage loss. So we don't have a percentage loss of negative 15% or something like that. We have a percentage loss as a positive. So the percentage loss is going to be just wait for my computer to catch up to me. It is not liking recording. I'm just going to pause for a second and just see if I can fix that up. Okay, so continuing where we left off, we've got our percentage loss to work out, which is going to be the loss, which is $3,000, divided by the cost. So that was $23,000. So it's not always the smaller sum, because in this case, of course, the cost price was more than the sale price, and times by 100. So you can put that into your calculator. I'm just going to go looking for my calculator app. There it is there. So 3,000 divided by 23,000 times by 100. And that gets me, an ugly fraction. So remember, when we get that happen, we can use the fraction and decimal button there. and that's going to give me 13.04%. Okay, and that's the end of that lesson. Now, there's not a lot of questions about this in the textbook, so you'll see as you scroll down, there's a profit and loss worksheet. Actually, well, in your booklets, there'll be a profit and loss worksheet. Now, some of these questions, like question 1 and question 2, you could probably do on that sheet. But after that, actually even 3 you could probably do on there, but 4 and 5 need a bit more room to set out. So if you do questions on the sheet, only questions 1 to 3, question 4 and 5, I'd like you to set them out in your workbooks. And that is the work for this lesson. So not much there to do. So plenty of time left at the end. You can use that time to catch up on anything from this topic that you are behind with, remembering, of course, that this topic is likely to be heavily examined in the prelim exam. All right, I'll see you guys later.